Yo, what is going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? Thank y'all for tuning in. Yes, sir. Thank y'all for tuning in. Today is Wednesday, hump day, trying to get everybody over that hump for the week. And hopefully you have been taking care of your business because we're getting closer and closer to the first of the month, which is rent. So hopefully you got that taken care of. Yep, it's gonna pop up here quicker than you know. Oh, hold on. All right, just have to make sure my computer is plugged in because I don't want it to go dead in the middle of me streaming. But yes, sir, we are at the middle of the week, Wednesday, hump day, getting closer to the end of the month, and then turn around and school is about to be ready to get started back up pretty soon. So get ready for that. Yeah, the kids gonna have to get ready for school as well. I know they don't want to do it, but hey, for the parents, for some of us it's gonna be good, some of us it's gonna be bad. But at the end of the day, here's what's needed. Yes. Yes, sir. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. We are simultaneously streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and Rumble. So pick whichever platform you want to watch on and enjoy. And if one of them hits a commercial on you, do me a favor, just switch over to the next platform that you want to join on, or whichever one you pay attention to. With that being said, we got a good show lined up for you today. We got fitness, economy, and AI, the three segments of our show that we're going to go over, of course. And if you didn't see the thumbnail, we are going to go over in the fitness portion. We had a bodybuilder who has recently passed away, unfortunately. Yes, sad for him. That is not good. Yeah, unfortunately. We're going to go ahead and tap into that one first on the fitness portion of the show. Then we're going to go into the economy portion of the show. We're going to look at the nurses, or we're going to look at the healthcare profession. But first, we're going to dive into the nurses and see that nurses seem like they're taking a massive layoff in the nursing industry. So we're going to look at the nursing industry and then see what company is basically running around out here, potentially putting a lot of people out of work in the healthcare industry. So we're going to take a look at that and see if they're actually taking good care of people or if they're just running and turning a quick profit. Yeah, that's going to be very unfortunate because that's basically what business is, just turns a profit. Yeah, people hate it, but that's what you start a business for, is to make profits. So regardless of what industry you're in, if it's a business, you're making money from it. Then last but not least, we're going to go into the AI segment of the show, and we're going to talk or see none other than the man himself, Sam Altman, the OpenAI CEO, who is going to talk about how he feels about the future of economy and finance, and if that will be the starting point to destroy the web. So we're going to see how that's going to work. That's going to be very intense. That's going to be very intense. We're going to have to see, because usually whenever he gets on the screen and starts talking, I think some of the things he did talk about, because he did mention the three things that scared him the most about AI. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but I'm pretty sure at the gist of it, at the end of it, he's probably going to say something along these lines.
Prepare the meat, so don't.
That's probably what he's going to end up saying. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I haven't seen the whole thing, but I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to gist and kind of wrap up, because you ain't stopping AI. AI is getting out of hand. I mean, it's really every single place that you turn around and look. But hopefully you get an upper hand on it, get some knowledge on it, get an understanding on it, learn from it, use it, abuse it, pause, and figure out how to use it into your day-to-day life, because yeah, that's the way we're headed. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Either put up or
shut up, bitch.
That's about all you can do. But with that being said, if you want to contribute to today's show, right there is the Cash App, Daniel2888, and the Venmo is going to be Daniel-00. Yes, sir. It'd be greatly appreciated. And yeah, without further ado, we could probably gonna jump right up in here into this video right here. Excuse me, the first video that we have, which is going to be the fitness portion. So before I get started, let me run that banner right there. Yeah, that banner is looking pretty good. Oh, whoops, I hit the wrong button over here. What am I doing? Come on, get my stuff right. There we go. All right. So yes, with that being said, man, let's go ahead and get this show started. And let me make sure, because you know, sometimes we got to hit that good old refresh button, because YouTube don't be playing around. They'll hit us with an ad in 2.3 seconds flat. But yeah, man, it's just a lot going on in the world today. And every time I turn around, somebody's passing away. And it's been multiple people that's passed away in like these last few days. And like the last week, 3 people have passed away. And I'll go over the other 2 as well. Actually, no, I'll just say them right now while waiting on this. We had Jamal Warner, or Malcolm Jamal Warner from The Cosby Show. Theo Huxtable, he passed away. And then next we got Ozzy Osbourne, who passed away yesterday. And then today we have this guy I'm about to go over who passed away. So with that being said, let me go ahead and tune in and get this show started. So let me go ahead and pull up the first thing on the show. Sorry if you saw me turn my head quickly. My son scared the mess out of me. But let me go ahead and get this pulled up, and we're going to go ahead and start the show. So there you see the guy right there. Let me get the banner up, and then we're going to go ahead and get this part started. So without further ado, here we go.
Almost 2 hours after this 103 pieces of sushi, new meal with rice. Answer is ultra short-acting insulin. I did 50 units. I don't recommend you to do this amount because it's dangerous. You can die, but I did it.
Bodybuilding is probably one of the only sports that's tainted with death, unlike any other sport in United States or worldwide history. And it's a really unfortunate thing because the people who do bodybuilding often have really good hearts and great intentions, but it just ends up going the wrong way. A lot of us could assume why this might be: drugs, food, and a not so great lifestyle on top of already not so great habits, and a addictive personality to tie it all together. It's actually a really unfortunate situation for the people who are amazing in this sport and really do their best to be great people. So I make this video in a way that's not meant to besmirch anyone or hurt anyone's feelings or say that anyone was wrong or they killed themselves or anything like this. The entire point of this video is just to point out to you the risks of living a specific kind of lifestyle within bodybuilding and point out some obvious ignored flaws within a lot of bodybuilders as well as fitness influencers, and then also point out the obvious solutions. Ilya Gollum passed away at 36 years old. This is pretty unfortunate. He's very
36 years old. Sheesh, boy, that is a serious 36 right there, man. Buddy was super duper jacked. I mean, you see him in person, you'll probably be like, yeah, man, very unfortunate, man. Just the bodybuilder lifestyle, the sport, man, it's dependent on steroids. That's just how that game works, unfortunately. But yeah, let's continue, man. Very unfortunate, but let's continue. Here we go.
young and
by the way, this is Coach Colton, fair use.
very big. Unfortunately, I think those two things didn't work well.
He would have been a perfect Kratos. Yeah, man, that would have been a good person to play Kratos. I'm a God of War fan, so seeing that would have been a good person, which I think Triple H is playing Kratos when the movie came out. They announced that, so yeah, we'll see.
Together. He was known for being an absolute mass monster. At the time of death, he was 348 pounds at 6 feet tall. One of the biggest human beings there is.
6 feet, 340, so my height, but 340 pounds. Bro is a beast. Jesus.
Out there, considering he was mostly muscle mass. But it's quick to see that most people are not surprised by his death. Ilya Gollum was an athlete with 5% nutrition, a company started by someone who was notoriously unhealthy, and we've also discussed many times on this channel. And to be honest, a notorious history of sponsoring athletes that aren't very healthy in the first place. Ilya did his best to maintain the appearance that the company desired, which was mutant-like human beings, larger than life people that were more spectacles to look at than anything impressive. He tried to embody the rich piana kind of life, where he looked extremely big, had massive arms, and did a lot to maintain those massive arms, including injecting oil locally and all over his body to create a larger outward appearance. Now, as you can see in the comments here on Reddit, just alone, people are pretty much not surprised. First comment, that's senior citizen in bodybuilding years. The cause has not been released. I guess we'll never know. He was really sick on his last video uploaded on antibiotics and stuff, basically years of abuse of SEO. Just like Piana, his kidneys and liver were severely damaged from all the oils dispersing through his body, which I do agree with. I think that there was a lot of use and abuse of oils within his body. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what SEO means in bodybuilding, that is site enhancement oil. And literally what bodybuilders will do is inject oil locally within muscles to make them look bigger or rounder. You've probably seen people who look like this on social media platforms with ridiculously bubbly arms that are almost looking as if they're infected and about to pop, chests, just weird muscle bellies. And this is a result of injecting oils into your skin. These people...
That's crazy, man. I've seen this before, but just like, what is the point in doing that? That's have to be, that's for attention. There is nothing else for you to do something like this other than for attention. That is not, it's not the way to go, man. Just keep it natural. Don't get caught up in the hype of having body dysmorphia and trying to look like a mountain of muscle, because you can still have a lot of muscle and somebody will still whoop your ass. So yeah, there's that.
Do it far, far too much. But Ilya did it in a capacity that made him still look very good and didn't necessarily shine through that he was abusing SEO. And so a lot of people probably didn't even realize it unless you were close up to the guy. The first comment here as well, a thread where bodybuilder dies before 50 and the comments aren't full of people saying it could be completely unrelated. Next one, did anyone not see this coming? We really need to start discussing mental health crises in the bodybuilding community. Playing a dangerous game with all this site enhancement. Too bad it took his life. 36 is way too young. Condolences to friends and family. This really sucks, but there were also few people riding on a knife's edge as much as this guy was. So you get the point. Most people sort of saw this coming. Now, Ilya Golem had a quest to be 400 pounds. He mentioned this a lot of the times, and his inspiration was early bodybuilders, but then it turned into something completely different once he got hired by 5% Nutrition and started to pursue the mutant look. On this pursuit,
so they paid him to have that look. They paid him to go that route and look like, what is 5% nutrition? 5% nutrition. So basically they, yeah, man, they were, let me see, who is 5% nutrition? Who are they? I mean, to be sponsored and paid to have that crazy look. And yep, right when you type in 5% nutrition on the website, they got Rich Piana. Rich Piana was a guy who basically kind of had a similar look like that guy, except bigger than probably he was, or, you know, maybe shorter but more muscle mass. But I mean, he was getting paid to look that way. And, you know, if you've ever gained any mass and put on weight, or, you know, you lifted weights to enhance your look and to become stronger, just knowing that whenever you do that and you start having to eat more, because that's how you get bigger, you have to eat more, you're going to feel it on your body and your joints. You know what I mean? Your body's going to feel that. Your joints are going to feel, it's going to be like, what is this extra weight that we're carrying? And if you are only lifting weights and not adding cardio or mobility, let me get this man face off here. It got me
he was
crazy.
Notoriously eating calories of...
Okay, cool. But if you're like constantly like getting super buff and super swole, and you're not doing any kind of combat training or mobility work or cardio other than the treadmill, like go outside and jog or something, man, your body is just not gonna, you know, adjust too well to the extra weight that you're putting on it. Your tendons and your ligaments and stuff like that is gonna be like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing to us? Basically, at the end of the day, that's what it's gonna be trying to figure out. It's like, yo, like, this is a little bit too much. You're overdoing it. So just be careful with that, man, because I mean, dang, 350 at 6 foot, basically my height, and he was going for 400. So your body can't take that, and you have to remember that you're putting a drug inside of you. I don't care how you look at it. It's a legit drug. You're putting a drug inside of your body. So, I mean, no different than any other street drug you can think of. It's the same concept, and you're pushing yourself. So, shout out, I mean, rest in peace to him, and, you know, condolences to his family.
Upwards of 15,000 per day to achieve this result. Of course, he wouldn't do this every day. It would be consistently for several weeks at a time, and then he'd have several weeks where he was eating less calories, but he would cycle his calories in order to get to a weight that he could sustain that was extremely heavy. This obviously is not good. Eating a hypercaloric diet is very notably not healthy for most people. In a hypercaloric diet, there's a lot more oxidative stress. You can see people's skin age a lot quicker, and oftentimes this is where you see people's blood work get the least healthiest that it probably could be. This is honestly for so many reasons, but one of the primary reasons is high circulating insulin levels, and then on top of this, just high inflammatory responses from digesting the food, as the food we eat is sort of an invasive particle that we're trying to process into nutrients. It's not necessarily an easy task to do, so the more that your body has to do of it, the more inflammatory response there generally is. So this, compiled with taking a copious amount of androgens and various other peptides, I'm sure, and I could go through my expectations in terms of what I think he was probably running for steroids and performance enhancing drugs, but I am sure all of you could be very well aware what these things would look like. You are going to see the common accusers here: trenbolone, testosterone, growth hormone, insulin, IGF-1, and probably many, many more. But what was it that actually killed Ilya? This is a very convoluted and hard question to answer. And I'm sure it's quite easy to answer in terms of the reason he had died was probably because of an excess amount of weight for a very long time. Extremely notably on his videos, he had a hard time breathing. It was worse than Sam Sulek. So weight combined with an abusive amount of anabolic steroids combined with
Yeah, so basically he just was overweight for his size, and you know, if you're sitting there breathing like that's just not healthy, bro. Like you should have some kind of awareness to tell yourself, like, I shouldn't be breathing like this, especially at 36. Like you should not be breathing that way at 36, man. That is very unfortunate. And again, like I said, the company was paying him to have that look, so you know, I mean, he agreed to it, but that's crazy to want to pay somebody to look that way, just so your business can make profit. And unfortunately, after he's gone, there's still gonna have people out there who want to achieve the look, and they're gonna make a profit, and probably not, you know, give him or anything passed down to his family because it was an agreement between just him and them. But I digress.
abusive amount of SEO, site enhancement oil, where that oil has to go somewhere and it's broken down into your blood and then obviously circulated through your circulatory system, and then those lipids generally don't do very good in terms of your cardiovascular health. Over years and years and years, even just a decade, can kill someone very easily, especially, again, eating this much food and being that weight. So it's not a matter of necessarily what killed him, but it's more of a matter of what was the final string that broke the camel's back. In this case, it certainly was probably something cardiovascularly related and a CVD event, no doubt. I'm almost sure of this, but we won't exactly know the details as it's not been released. My whole point with this video, though, like I said, is to give you kind of a cue into what would have caused this. And it's a very simple answer, and you might have already came to it by now, as my audience is pretty intelligent, to be honest. The thing was
steroids. We know that it's going to be steroids when he comes back on and say it, but yeah, that's basically what it was. We'll get through this ad real quick. I just don't understand. I don't know if he was actually bodybuilder or not. I don't know if he did any shows. You know what I mean? If he got his IFBB pro card to become a actual bodybuilder and has done any shows for, you know, said sport. And I mean, if he did, then it made sense why he took steroids or got that big or looked that way. That makes sense to, if you're going to do it in that route. But just to be doing it for a business that's sponsoring you, I mean, the money must be good, but still, like, is it really worth it? I mean, they don't care about you, but if that's what you want to do and that's what you achieved, then hey, he achieved it. He did what he did, and he did what he wanted to do, and conquered his goals. You saw he had a baby, so hopefully the proceeds goes to take care of his family and stuff like that. But man, I mean, say 6 foot and 350, 6 foot 350. That is wild. That is beyond me. That's 140 pounds added to me at my height. Jesus.
the weight, the drugs, the SEO, the psychology behind.
Then he's putting SEO, which is that oil that just enhances the look of your muscles. So technically speaking, you're not as strong as you look because you're putting oils to make your muscles look way more massive than they really are, which then again, where does that oil go when you're done? Yeah, exactly.
Behind it, I think, is the most important part. The desire to be so big, larger than life, to get this sort of infamy off of being huge and to build your ego around being the huge person is what was really the cause of death. You see, when someone builds their ego around going to the gym and being huge, it makes that person almost impossible to pull away from that environment. And specifically, if that environment and behavioral trait includes steroids, it is almost impossible to get them to stop, because the only thing they know and the only thing that they can identify themselves with is the use and abuse of anabolic steroids, is eating copious amounts of food, is literally being a bodybuilder who never competes. What is the most concerning trait about all of this is that he probably knew he should stop. He probably knew many times over that he should stop.
But he is addicted. You can't quit your addiction. And then on top of that, he was sponsored to look that way from, you know, I guess said company. That was part of his sponsorship, to have that look. So, you know, he couldn't stop if he tried, if he was addicted and he was sponsored. So that's like a double-edged sword for real. He was just like, if I quit, I'm going to lose my sponsor and my money. You know what I mean? And it's like, what do I have? What am I going to fall back on? I mean, I don't know him personally. I don't know what he had going on, but looking at it from that perspective, if I'm correct, I mean, it kind of sucks.
But unfortunately, he hasn't. He never did. And this was what led to his death. He downsized 50 pounds, stopped eating as much calories, and certainly stopped doing as much drugs. He likely would have lived a lot longer. But it is that toxic mentality that a lot of bodybuilders and fitness influencers adopt that led to his death. The one singular component of his life that was so important and most paramount was to get as big as humanly possible. And he had sculpted his entire social media presence, personality, and existence around that one concept. And so if you don't want to end up like this, someone who's 30 years old and passing away, which I certainly don't, and I can imagine most of you do not, is you can't just chase size. You can't just chase the ego of being the big guy. You have to diversify your life. And I understand bodybuilding is sort of one of the all-consuming things, and especially being a fitness influencer arguably is more consuming. You have to step away from those things every once in a while. Travel the world, read books, take up new hobbies, because those things can pull you away or at least give you a bridge to step away easily from something that you're so bound to, so that when it does come time for you to drop the 3cc syringe down and just stick with TRT, you can do so without being so psychologically wrapped up in the concept of being the big guy. And one of the notorious horrible traits that I see so many bodybuilders go through as I'm coaching them is the dependency on bodybuilding for their well-being. They had a bad training session, their day is ruined. If they had a bad prep for a show, their year is ruined. If they had a bad weekend and they didn't get to get their meals in, their next week is ruined. They literally leverage everything about their well-being on the bodybuilding that they do. But life is so much broader than that.
Yeah, if they could apply that mindset that they have, because that's a hell of a mindset to have. It's not necessarily bad. You just got to be able to channel it and, direct it in the right direction. You're doing bodybuilding, that's cool and all. But if you beat yourself up that much whenever you miss a meal or didn't do one thing and it ruins your day or your next week, you know what I mean? That's completely counterproductive. And you could apply that mindset to money as opposed to just bodybuilding. But, teach his own.
It is way more broad than that. And if you can take a step outside of the little box that you frame around yourself for safety and protection, no doubt, you'll be able to see that the world is a lot more expansive and has much more for you to do than you might think. There's this video that hasn't aged well. I'm actually going to be doing a very big breakdown video on GOATUS here soon, so stay tuned for that. But if you guys haven't seen this guy on YouTube, he is wild. He posted this video 3 years ago saying on the thumbnail, how to die before you're 40, basically. And man, it didn't age well because this literally just happened.
Hey everyone, as requested, I'm going to review what a so-called bodybuilder eats in a day, the Golem Monster Diet.
Hello guys, today I will make a video of my whole day eating. And my first meal is...
I haven't seen this. I just clicked play just now, okay? I promise within the next 20 seconds, he's gonna say, what are these tumors all over his body or something like that, something about tumors. And then 2, this man's eating slave food. I guarantee you, those are the, just watch. I've not watched this. Fingers crossed, I've not watched this.
He say he's eating slave food? Jesus, easy there, buddy. Sheesh, look at that's a big. I can imagine me and that guy's the same height. We're the same height, but just this dude is massive, and he's injecting oil inside of his muscles to make them look bigger, on top of taking steroids and eating a lot. That's just crazy. I can't get over that.
I swear to God.
Look at this. 300 grams.
Imagine being...
They're killing me. I got to get rid of this premium. I got to get premium. But I don't know if that was 300 grams of protein. I don't know how many grams are in 1 cup of protein, but hopefully he's not overdoing it. But I mean, well, not hopefully not. He did overdo it. But yeah, here we go. Let's continue. Let's continue seeing what this is about. Here, we're almost done. It's got like another minute left, and then we'll be done with this video. Up. There we go.
As a woman who gets breast implants, nobody finds you attractive. You look deformed, and you only do it because you're insecure.
Of oats every morning. Okay, let's cook it. My first meal, oats. 300 grams of oats, my pre-workout meal. Let's start with it. And also for taste, I add monk fruit sweetener, as you see.
Oh yeah, I look like one big tumor, I eat peasant food, indigestible fiber, you're simply going to excrete it. This simply shows how stupid bodybuilders are. Stop eating oats. Sushi. Probably some farm garbage.
Hold on. I eat oats in the morning before my workout for training, but you know, looking at this guy, I wouldn't take what he said with a grain of salt. But still, I mean, I eat a cup of oatmeal in the morning. That's what I do. A cup of oatmeal in the morning with like cinnamon or raisin. That's what I usually eat before I go work out and lift. That's my energy. You know what I mean? That's what my energy does. That's what my energy has going.
In a way, he looks sicker than a vegan. Okay, if he thinks he needs carbs, then he needs carbs. Whatever, but why?
Appreciate the follow, Alb Paz. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Why this obsession with grains? You guys have been completely brainwashed to believe that eating grains is the way to get carbs, sugar, even though fruit is so incredibly superior to this, making your intestines all sticky with the gluten, and it's in every grain out there.
Yeah, so that guy's fucking ludicrous. I'm really excited to make a video about him, but you understand what I'm trying to say. His lifestyle was not healthy, his habits of drug use was not healthy, and his obsession, most importantly, with being a massive human being was not healthy. Being a massive human being for a sport is one thing, and understanding that there's a finite amount of time that you can be a massive human being is absolutely critical. But understanding that there is a finite amount of time that you can be massive is this whole entire problem. People do not understand that their body cannot sustain body weights above average for very long at a healthy rate. And thus, we have people dying. If you liked this video, comment down below and subscribe.
Yes, you cannot be massive for a prolonged amount of time. That is so true. That is very true. Shout out to Coach Copen for this video. Greatly appreciate it, man. Fair use on that one. We're going to move on to the next one. Yes. But RIP to that guy, man. It's very unfortunate that he lost his life. It really is. It's very unfortunate, man. Condolences to him and his family and everything. But yeah, I mean, it's something that I wouldn't disagree on, like taking a bodybuilder's diet if you wanted to like put some size on to see what it looks like, to kind of like, if you were trying to fill out your body more, I would say actually like get a bodybuilder or like a coach such as myself, or a bodybuilding coach, and actually go through the rigmarole of what it feels like to actually put on mass, put on muscle, to see what it actually takes and what it actually feels like. But don't take any like steroids while you're doing it. Do it the natural way. Do it do it that way first. If you feel like you want to take it to the next level, that's on you. That's your choice. You understand what you're getting yourself into, but just do it the natural way and kind of see what your body is capable of and what it can take. And once you get up to a certain size you don't like, you can always just stop and cut the calories back and, increase the workout intensity a little bit, just to kind of get your body tweaked to the way that you want it to look. So, it is what it is at the end of the day. But, man, it's very unfortunate that he lost his life, man. Shout out to him and condolences to his family. But with that being said, we're going to move on to the next segment of the show, because usually I would have a muscle of the day, but I don't have muscle or organ or whatever the day today, so we're not going to do that. But we also do need to go ahead, and I did say I had mentioned these people earlier, but we're going to take a look at, where is it? I just had it. There we go. These are the two other people this week that also passed away. So here's Malcolm Jamal Warner. He was Theo from The Cosby Show. He passed away a couple days ago. And here's him. He passed away. So that's very unfortunate. Along with the bodybuilder we just looked at. And then also, was it today or yesterday? Yesterday, Ozzy Osbourne passed away. So all in a week, we just had 3 people pass away. So very unfortunate. Everything is super, everything is just happening like crazy. Yeah, I do read the chats, Albie. I see it. Just be patient, calm down. But yeah, so yeah, Ozzy Osbourne passed away this morning. So yeah, yesterday morning. So yeah, and he did this concert like, I think it was like a week ago or something like that. And he ended up passing away a week later, which is very unfortunate. But yeah, that's 3 people in a week passing away. That's very unfortunate to hear. But with that being said, we're going to switch on over to the next segment of the show. Let me get these things taken down real quick so we can go to the next segment of the show. Where are we at right here?
What up, Nurse Gang?
Up. Here we go. So we're going to go into the next segment of the show, which is going to be the economy portion of the show. And I forgot to do my intros. My goodness. Let me change the banner and let's go ahead and get into the economy portion of the show. Where is it? Let me change this banner real quick. There's the economy. And let's go ahead and do the intros. I forgot to do the intro for the fitness, but we'll start here and do the intro for the economy. So here we go.
Welcome to the economy segment of the show. Enjoy.
There we go. Okay, the economy portion of the show. Here we go. Let's get it. And Albie, I'm actually looking for you. Let's see. I got you. I was warned about you probably. You couldn't see or the stuffs. I'm waiting. What are you waiting on? Let me see. Let me give you a second. Somebody here. So I'm from Italy. So the healthcare is free, and also sorry about my English. I'm not good. It's okay for you. Healthcare, I'm in the States, and no, in the United States, Albie, healthcare is not free at all. No, sir. I wish healthcare was free, but it is not free. No. I don't know if you know anybody from the States, but let me be the one to tell you, sir. Healthcare is not free in these United States. And the healthcare that was free, which is called Medicaid, I think Trump is removing that. So therefore, there will be no more Medicaid. So there will be zero free healthcare in the United States. Now, I believe Trump did get rid of Medicaid, if I'm not mistaken. As a matter of fact, I'm glad that you asked that question. Let's see. I'll actually look that up while we're live on the spot. So let me see. Did Trump remove Medicaid? Oh, my typing. Medicaid. Let's see. Did Trump remove? No, President Trump did not remove Medicaid. However, during his presidency in 2025 budget, his administration proposed and supported policies and legislations that could significantly change the program, impacting funding, eligibility, and benefits. So it won't be removed 100%. However, it will change how you can be eligible and the benefits that incur. So it'll be less. Basically it'll just be less. We'll just say it'll be like less eligibility to get on free healthcare. And if you get on Medicaid, it's not the best healthcare. But no, in America, man, not at all. We do not get free healthcare whatsoever. I mean, it's like not even cool. It really feels like this. And to be honest, if you ever wonder why Americans are always like hustling and grinding and, you know, always like go and stuff like that, is because now, and especially in today's time, shit's expensive. It's expensive as hell right now to live out here, man. It's crazy. Oh, you say, yeah, I know you're the only country. Don't do it. Don't do what? The other countries are a poor country, but I think the problem is the food. Man, I hear that. I do hear that too. I've actually heard, looking at other people who come from different countries. I even heard a UFC fighter say this. A UFC fighter, I can't remember who it was, but he was in a different, I forget what country he was in. I think it was over there in Europe somewhere. But he mentioned that how much he weighs, how much his walk around weight is. He said, but when I go to the States, my weight just goes up by about like 10 or 15 pounds just because of the food. And then when I go back home, my weight goes back down, just even me eating the same stuff. And I was like, Jesus Christ, is our food that jacked up? And I've heard people say that our bread, just our natural bread that we eat, to other countries, it's sweet. And I'm like, I don't know any different because I never had like bread in Europe or nothing like that. So I don't know. But I have to go. Your meat, bread, eggs are banned in Europe. Damn, really? Meat, bread, eggs are banned? Dang, I didn't know that. Jesus, I didn't know that. Good Lord. I didn't know all of that was banned. Meat? Y'all don't even get American meat? Well, I mean, I wouldn't think you'd get American meat. I mean, it's too far to be shipping meat over there to your country. I would think that would be a very hazardous risk to do. I figure you get it from some other countries near y'all. But bread and eggs, that's crazy. But yeah, that explains why, you know, healthcare is such a big business thing in the United States, because of the food. You know, our food is super, you know, what is it called? GMOs, genetic modified organisms is what they say. It has a lot of stuff in it. You know, like if you eat at McDonald's and you leave the burger out, like the cheese and the meat don't spoil. You know what I mean? It'll just sit there not spoiling. It'll just be there, like just not spoiling, just like ready to eat a week later. Just throw it in the microwave and bam, there you go. And pigs use steroids and are dangerous for human, for example. Yeah, yes sir, yes sir. There are 1,213 chemical products that are banned, but you still use it. Yeah, that is true. Yes, that is true. That is true. We do use a lot, but what can you do? All you can do is kind of just focus and grind, and that's why Americans focus so much on getting rich. Get rich, then you can take care of yourself a lot better. But yeah, but let me get to this show real quick. Let me go ahead and get to the next segment of the show. What we have here is what we're talking about is the layoffs. Yes, the layoffs in the healthcare that's going on. So first we're going to go on the quick thing. We're going to look at this one lady. She's on TikTok. She's going to talk about one of the fastest growing nursing staff startup companies called Connect RN. And it says that they cut staff company worldwide or wide or whatever. But we're gonna look at it and see exactly what Connect RN is and see if it's true and if it's something that's really going on and if it's really having an issue for people. So let's go ahead and pull this one up real quick. I don't know who this lady is. Let me change that banner because that banner is not correct. But let's see what she's talking about as far as what Connect RN is. So let's take a look. Here we go.
What up, TikTok? So today on Nurses in the News, headline reads, fast-growing nurse staffing startup Connect RN cut staff company-wide. Whoa, let's take a deeper look into it. A Waltham-based startup that connects nurses with flexible work opportunities is among the last tech company in Massachusetts to squeeze in layoffs the first half of 2023. Last week, Connect RN cut workers company-wide, according to posts on LinkedIn by employees impacted by the job cuts. The spokesperson for Connect RN confirmed that the company eliminated about 20% of its workforce with job cuts evenly distributed across the company. Connect RN had 283 employees as of June 1st, with 131 of those based in Massachusetts, the company said. A 20% reduction in staff would leave Connect RN with around 226 employees. In August 2022, the CEO of Connect RN told the Business Journal that Connect RN saw a 250% revenue growth since he joined as chief executive. He said the company planned to expand to 40 states by the end of the year. Last year, Connect RN also made the Inc. 5000 list. This is the magazine's ranking of the fastest growing privately held companies in the country. Connect RN was ranked 416 on the list and reported 1,472% revenue growth from 2018 to 2021 pandemic. The Waltham company was also on the Inc.'s list in 2021 and got the 72nd spot with 5,205% 3-year growth. Connect RN says it has seen more than 35% year-over-year growth in the first half of 2023.
Okay, so as we see there, this Connect RN company is basically on a rapid growth as far as what it is that they're doing, and we're going to see a lot of that going on. And what did you just say? I just saw you had something. And yeah, I see that some of your say your name, Albie. Yes, some of your people do come to USA for work, but right now ain't quite the time to be coming to the USA for work because USA are doing massive layoffs. I mean, like a hell of a lot of layoffs. And right now you're seeing Connect RN. This company is a quick growing company, and they're going to be doing a lot of not only job cuts, but whatever it is that they're doing. I'm pretty sure they're going to integrate AI into healthcare at some point, which is going to give a lot of people or put a lot of people out of work, unfortunately. And as you're going to see right here, we're going to be looking at here, the jobs that we have in America are being outsourced like they always have been. This is nothing new. All of our jobs have always been outsourced to different countries because then you can pay them cheaper wages because American wages are always usually so high. And what we have right here is we have this next lady who's going to talk about remote nurse jobs that are being outsourced. So even though people are coming into America for work, I mean, unless you're working a all cash business or doing something like black market or illegal and you're making money like that, like money under the table or something of that nature or whatever, a lot of jobs right now are doing massive layoffs and massive cuts all over the sector, whether it's transportation, healthcare, tech, it doesn't matter. Cuts are going across the board. And here's this lady right here. She's going to actually speak on that. She's going to say right here that the point of view when your remote nurse job outsources overseas. And let's hear her talk about this real quick. So let's check this out. And it says Filipino nurses can now care for U.S. patients remotely. Good Lord. Let's see how that works out. Here we go.
Nurses can now work remotely for the United States, while nurses in the United States have a very difficult time finding a remote job. They're saying that virtual sitting has already been done, but what has never been done before is the delivery of services using staff halfway around the world. I have been saying this, and I'm going to continue to say it. They don't want you as nurses in comfortable positions. We cost too much. They'd rather send the jobs overseas, outsource them overseas, and either pay us less or have us on the floor. Any nurses that work remotely, have any of you heard about this? Are you concerned that your job could possibly be outsourced to the Philippines? They're giving them nurses benefits, everything, and they don't have to leave the comfort of their home. We're not asking for more money as United States healthcare workers because we just want to make this tremendous amount of money. The cost of living here is astronomical, and this is no shade to Filipino nurses at all. The shade is to our broken healthcare system in the United States. Tell me what you guys think. Leave your comments below.
Yeah, so exactly like we were saying just a minute ago, yes, the healthcare system, they're taking a hit from all angles. Like, it doesn't matter who you are or whatever you do, everybody's taking a hit in the healthcare sector. Now, however, the Connect RN thing I want to kind of go back to, because I wanted to read exactly the comment section. So I'm gonna look at some of the comment section right here. This is for also the Connect RN thing as well. And it says, some people say nurse should only contract with companies owned by nurses. And then it says they are selling. No way they would dump employees otherwise. So nurses and all workers should control means of production, tech. Well, I mean, dealing with this right here and actually, you know, dealing with job cuts and sending jobs across the world or whatever, or outsourcing jobs overseas with nursing. I mean, it's gonna be brutal. There's really nothing that you could do, because I already did a video previously showing that UPS was doing job cuts. They were paying their workers to do a buyout to buy them out, and if they didn't accept it, well, they were just gonna basically, you know, face the wrath. So we saw that happening. We saw federal employees having mass layoffs. We saw tech people having mass layoffs. Now we're seeing nurses going through the same thing, and it's just a constant tumble. And I showed the graph previously last time. When you look at the roaring 20s, the 1920s that led up to the Great Depression, from like 1920 all the way to 1929 and ended in like 1932, we're in the 2020s, you know what I mean, 100 years later. So we're seeing that we had a trajectory going up in the graph, but now we're gonna see it come down, and jobs are gonna be, you know, cut like crazy. So that's just where we're at. And yeah, the American damage to it. Unfortunately for this, the American damage to Italy too. How is Italy getting damaged from America? How does that work? Let me see. Where's your comment at? Of Trump, I think the English just do these. They ruin the world commerce to America, so the other country starts to not trade to America, but America depends on other country stuff. So America's gonna need to rebuild industrial stuff, but probably it's too late. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Industrial stuff will not be rebuilt. That's not gonna be the way things are gonna be ran in the future. If you go on YouTube and look at my video, I have a video called "What is a Technocracy?" and you're gonna look and see that's the direction that everything is gonna be headed in. Everything is going basically AI and machine learning. So this time around, when jobs get replaced, they were going to replace it and outsource it with, of course, like we just saw here, cheaper people outsourcing, but also they're going to use that cheap labor, but they're going to also AI the jobs in the near future. So a lot of people won't have jobs regardless if they're humans or not. It's going to be outsourced to AI. So we're all just kind of looking at the inevitable at this point. It's basically coming to a halt here pretty soon, and the time that it's going, it's speeding up rapidly. So within like the next 24 to 36 months, hell, I should say 12 to 36 months, jobs are going to be a major issue. On top of all this happening, we got student loans that people are being hit with as well, because now that people who are delinquent on student loans, their checks are being garnished, all the wages are being garnished. So, and with their garnishment, the interest rate on their on their student loans is some people's interest rates or excuse me, the interest that are bearing on their student loans, the interest is more than the loan amount itself. So it's bad all around. It's not looking good. Like it's gonna be horrible. Yeah. So the people start to trade other countries like China, like you buy medication supplies, so it's gonna be worse to pay medication for you. Yeah, it's gonna be bad. It's not gonna look good. I mean, at this point, it's looking like the only way to solve the situation would probably, and I hate to say it, would probably be this. That's honestly like the point where we're headed to as far as fixing it and just starting back over and just rebuilding from ground zero. But that's not going to happen because of AI is going to be implemented and AI is going to come in and, you know, we're going to have a good old iRobot situation. You know what I mean? We're going to just be walking around and we're going to go to the movies and, you know, our AI robot's going to hand us our popcorn at the cash register. So, you know, it's going to be crazy. But next thing for the economy portion of the show, I got a video I wanted to go look at. This video here is called A CEO Wanted to Run a Healthcare Like Taco Bell. Can you imagine a CEO planning to run a healthcare like a Taco Bell? I mean, imagine you walking in and you just looking at them like, is this what we doing? Is this what we're doing? Yeah. So this video here is going to be about More Perfect Union. We're going to go ahead and check this video out and see exactly how you can run a healthcare place like a Taco Bell and how the patients are doing. So we're going to see if it's working. So hopefully it is working, but we're going to see, because if you compare it to a Taco Bell, like that's not a good look. So fair use, More Perfect Union. We're going to check this video out and see exactly how this situation is being handled. Here we go.
Is the future of healthcare. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the future of healthcare. If I was confused, it's because, according to the former CEO, they have the same business model.
If I had 1,400 Taco Bells and 32,000 people who worked in them, I would be doing all the same stuff.
You may not have heard of DaVita, but they're everywhere.
Well, I mean, I put healthcare as part of the economy. So we're on the economy subject, but we're looking at the economy of healthcare basically. So yeah, same subject.
Along with their biggest competitor, Fresenius. They're the biggest players in the dialysis market, which you may not know or particularly care about, but you should, because more than likely, you have a kidney inside of you right now. And nearly 750,000 people a year experience kidney failure, while over 500,000 Americans are currently receiving the only treatment for kidney failure besides a transplant, dialysis. But taking a look at how the free market ran wild on just this one organ, the human body, can give us some insight into the future of American healthcare.
They're doing a lot of things that you might encourage a fast food restaurant to do, like get a lot of patients through the facility each day, cut back on wages, cut back on costs. Turns out the kidneys are a little different than a Crunchwrap Supreme.
I was scared because at that point was when I realized I can die on the chair and I won't even know it.
This is Carmen. Because Carmen's kidneys didn't work properly, she needed to show up to dialysis several times a week just to stay alive.
Man, I don't know if you ever known anybody or seen a dialysis room. That is the most saddest and depressive thing that you could probably see inside of a hospital. People on dialysis, like that stuff is horrible. It sucks. I mean, it's not cool. If you're on dialysis, because your kidneys are a very, very important part of your body. I mean, it all works as like one big unit, but I mean, your kidneys, if you have to be on dialysis for your kidneys, bro, that shit that is, oh man, I feel for people that are on dialysis. It's not cool. It is not a good situation.
For over a decade, Carmen showed up week after week so a machine could do what her kidneys couldn't, clean her blood. And for most of that time, the clinic performing that life-saving service was a DaVita. Over time, Carmen had witnessed the kind of cost-cutting and decline in quality many of us have witnessed in retail, food, and furniture.
In 14 years, the quality of care diminished to the point where patients were having to suffer needlessly.
They cut back on cleaning costs, leaving bloodstains on the floor and chairs. They took away the numbing medication Carmen used. The needle sticks are incredibly painful. But one of the most alarming trends...
Bruh, taking away the numbing and just sticking them with no numbing medication, that is just diabolical. That's just straight evil. Why would you take away the numbing medication? That's horrible. And Albie, you wondering about the healthcare in the U.S., here you're getting a nice little crash course on one right now. And I can't understand what your last mention says. It doesn't make sense.
Short staffing, asking nurses and dialysis technicians to do more and more. You may think of dialysis as something like a gentle blood draw, but it's more like an all-out assault on the body. Patients describe passing out, losing dangerous amounts of blood, nausea, vomiting, blood pressure spikes. Is this just a normal part of dialysis?
High speed, short treatment time, high ultrafiltration rate dialysis causes cardiac disease, plummeting blood pressure, horrible quality of life.
This is journalist Tom Muller, who spent 5 years talking to over 100 patients.
And whenever I used to work at a hospital, we had the dialysis room. When somebody went into a dialysis room, I remember they would be in there for hours dealing with doing a dialysis. So to sit here and hear these people say run it like a Taco Bell and go fast with dialysis, I don't even see how that's possible without deleting the person. I just don't see how that's a possible thing to do to someone without like deleting them. I mean, I think that's the only outcome that would happen to speed up a dialysis situation, because it took hours when people were in a dialysis room. It was not a fast process. So to hear a company go in and treat it like a fast food restaurant, that is a literal slaughterhouse. They're running a slaughterhouse and they know it. I mean, there's no other way to explain it.
And kidney doctors to blow the lid on this industry. It is, and I'm not exaggerating, the most horrifying thing I've read in years. And I asked him, what happens when you do this kind of high-speed dialysis with not enough staff?
I've talked with Magellan Hanford, who's a former LAPD officer who retrained as a dialysis nurse. He said that at times, as a nurse, he had 17 patients that he was responsible for. And his description of the day at the office was like working in a MASH unit in a war zone. It was, someone's cramping here, someone's coding here, running from place to place. More than once, he described having to put a deceased patient under a sheet and continue treating everyone else because there was just no other option.
You're just sitting there waiting to see what emergency is going to happen. I've bled out. And while I'm bleeding out, there's a person across from me that is alarming. Who are they going to help first?
And it's not just DaVita. For the story, I spoke to Fresenius workers across California who all described the same kind of nightmare scenarios Carmen experienced at DaVita.
Over the years, I believe it went from, care.
Yeah, I agree. I'm pretty sure y'all, I mean, overall, everything that everything that y'all have would be more healthy. That's why we have the most obese people, like the most obese nation, unfortunately. That's why, everything, that's why people look at Americans like Americans are so big, and it's like, and it's not a natural big. It's a by design big. But could you imagine being in this situation? The lady says she's sitting there in dialysis, she's bleeding, and then the person over there, they're coding. When they say coding, if you don't know what coding is, for example, working in a hospital, I used to work in a monitor tech room, and I would basically look at all the heart rates of everybody's heart in the hospital. And if your heart rate was doing something wrong, whether it was, like tachycardia is going too fast, or atrial fib, or something like that, or flutter, or anything that was wrong, you would call a code to see what's wrong, because potentially you could basically be having an episode, or you might be on your way out. You know what I mean? They go in there to save you, and depending on what your paperwork says, they could either try to resuscitate you if that's what your paperwork says, or not resuscitate you and just let you go depending on what you have in there. But sometimes somebody would code, and while they're coding, they could be in there, you know, hitting them with hitting them with the pen and giving them CPR, trying to bring them back to life, and another person could code. So then they would have to like split off and have people here and have people over there. So, and then while this is going on, those nurses who are helping these people that are coding, who are potentially losing their life, or you know what I mean, they still have patients that they got to deal with after these people are done coding, if they save their life or if they lose their life. You know what I mean? And then if they save their life, cool, everybody go back to normal. If they lose their life, time it, call the, you know, the morgue or whoever comes to pick up the body. But this is actual, you know, this is actually true. And you got to figure out, like, it's not really who you're going to save first, but it's almost like if 2 or 3 people code, I don't know how you're going to save all 3, especially in hospitals now where they're short staffed. You don't have enough nurses on the floor to staff everyone. So if you're already short staffed and one nurse is having 3, 4, 5 patients, and she has to divert he or she has to divert their attention for an emergency. I mean, what do you, it's the definition of a shit show, but let's continue.
Over profit to very quickly profit over care to get as many patients as they can with the least amount of staffing and hoping that nothing happens.
On a bad day, you can get up to 7, 8, 9 patients with one technician.
A manager told one of my coworkers, we were complaining because we were short-staffed that weekend and nobody came to help and oh, well, nobody died. That was the response.
Hey, what he just said right there, that is the truest thing ever. Short staff, yes. And then, oh, well, nobody died. I mean, you're in there playing with people's lives, and it's frustrating. It's really frustrating to sit there just playing with people's lives, and there's nothing you can do. Because at the end of the day, it is a business, and it's running the way it's supposed to be ran. Because the purpose of a business, the reason why you open a business is to make maximum profit. And that's all you're seeing. And unfortunately, you're making max profit out of people's lives. It's horrible, but that was a very true statement.
One of the nightmare scenarios of dialysis is the patient is hooked to the machine, they go to sleep, the needle dislodges, and the alarm doesn't sound.
Yeah, our healthcare is super expensive. Our food, our drinks is not healthy. That's why we have to be very meticulous about what we do, and that's why, like I said, we grind so hard.
And they bled out. That is something that I've heard in my reporting numerous times.
My worst experience on dialysis was one of the times when I passed out. When I came to, I had no idea that had happened to me. And I was scared. At that point was when I realized I can die on the chair. And I won't even know it.
If they're understaffed, you don't have someone watching you every minute. So bad things happen in a short time.
One of the ladies that I used to ride transport with, I saw her walking to the scale, really wobbly and shaky. Nobody was around to help her or able to help her because they were running short staffed that day like usual. So while normally they will escort you to the scale, that was not the case that day. At the scale, she fell. And then next thing you know, the ambulance people are rushing in and they're putting her in. And they covered her head when they took her out.
If I had 1,400 Taco Bells, I would be doing all the same stuff.
You have patients on an assembly line, crammed in as rapidly as possible and as many shifts as possible to make the facility more profitable.
But even when you're trying to run dialysis like an assembly line, things happen. A patient's ride drops them off late, an emergency happens, and to catch up, somebody has to cut their dialysis time short. But here's the problem. The doctor has prescribed a certain amount of time for each patient to sit in a chair with a certain amount of blood being pushed in and out of their system. If I need 5 hours of dialysis and I'm only getting 4, it's not cleaning my blood as much as it should.
Did you hear how long he said the dialysis lasts? He said, if my treatment is 5 hours long and I only get 4, I told you dialysis is a long process. And for you to decide to make a business that is going to be like fast food for dialysis, that is a slaughterhouse. There's no other way to explain that. Like, that is a slaughterhouse. I can't even believe that this is a thing. This is crazy. Dialysis takes a long time. I cannot believe that this is an actual thing that's going on. Like, this is wild, man. This is wild. And like you said, if you only get 4 out of your 5 hours, you didn't filter your blood all the way through, so your blood is still dirty. Like, bro, this is, and that's one thing I learned when I worked in the hospital. That's why I started going so hard on my fitness. That's why I focus on fitness so much. I do online fitness coaching on my YouTube channel. If you go in the video section, you'll see I do at-home workout videos and stuff. I do fitness coaching online. That job made me take fitness super serious because I looked at that job and I said, you do not want to end up in a hospital unless you have to for whatever reason. You can't avoid it 100%, but you want to do everything in your power to be as healthy as possible. And in America, if you can, I mean, it really America is if you're super rich, you'll be able to, you know, take care of yourself, but that's what it would take. But if you can and you're not able to get super rich, I mean, make some money, go somewhere or to a country that is more healthy when it comes to their food, because going to the doctor is no joke. And what these people are going through, the stories that they have and the way they're explaining things, this stuff, I mean, they're not lying. They ain't lying at all. I mean, I've working in the hospital, I've seen it with the short staff. Like, how do you have a short staff at a hospital? Then on top of that, you have nurses that go to therapy. Not knocking therapy, but think about this. You got people that can get jobs as nurses going to therapy. Then the nurses will have to go to therapy. But remember, in therapy, they will give you, number one, they'll diagnose you if you got insurance. And number two, they give you drugs. And if your drugs are, like, for example, if you get a piss test, if you get a urine test and you are dirty, but you're dirty for the drugs that your therapist gave you, you're good. So now you're dealing with a nurse that is treating you, but she's probably high on some kind of medication. But it's perfectly fine for her to be high on medication treating you. It's like horrible, bro. It's like, wow, you better take care of yourself.
Toxins can build up in my bloodstream, making me sick.
One of the most unambiguous findings of medical research in dialysis over the last 30 years is that shortened treatment times shorten lives. It's very straightforward.
Now, if a patient wants to cut their...
You hear what he said? Shortened treatment time shortens lives. End of story. Hear that one more time.
Findings of medical research.
Making me sick.
One of the most unambiguous findings of medical research in dialysis over the last 30 years is that shortened treatment times shorten lives. It's very straightforward.
I told you, dialysis takes a long, long time. Dialysis was never short. Because like I said, when I worked in a monitor tech at the hospital, I remember that, you know, somebody's heart monitor would be acting funny or whatever would be on. I'd be like, hey, what's going on with this person? They're like, no, they're in dialysis. Don't worry. So I would know to put their heart monitor on like dialysis. So I know not to like check it or be alarmed if it was going on, because their little EKG things weren't on them. They might have been like laying down, or they might have put them to the side or something or whatever. But that person, I could tell how long they were gone for because I'm the one that sees their heart monitor, and their heart monitor will be off for hours. So it takes long, and he just said it. Shorter treatment, you have a shorter lifespan. Like, you are not gonna make it. And to open a business running a dialysis treatment like a Taco Bell, that is a slaughterhouse. That is ridiculous.
Now, if a patient wants to cut their dialysis time short, they need to sign something called an AMA. A document basically saying you want to do this against medical advice. But at DaVita and Fresenius, it's not always willing.
We would ask the patient to sign an AMA, even though it's not the patient's fault. But we have a schedule to keep with the next patient.
That's the fast food model of healthcare, where the chains want patients on that machine for 3 to 4 hours.
This is economist Ryan McDevitt, who studied the business of dialysis extensively.
If a patient needs to be on the machine longer today, but they have another patient supposed to come in for their session where they're going to get another reimbursement, they don't want to adjust the schedule to accommodate that patient who needs a more personalized type of care.
But here's the problem. If you want one of the limited kidneys available for transplant, disregarding a doctor's order looks really bad. One DaVita patient I spoke to claimed she was turned down for a kidney transplant in part because of these AMAs on her medical record. A kidney transplant means not being trapped in a chair for hours a week. It means living longer. But transplant organizations don't want to give kidneys to people that they feel won't follow a doctor's orders. Another problem in the dialysis industry is that the very system designed by Medicare to keep clinics accountable has been gamed by DaVita and Fresenius.
They have an incentive to push out.
One thing about at least the hospital I worked at is that if I was able to see paperwork, and one of the contracts that you sign with the hospital is that you basically give them the right to take care of you. So it's almost like, it's like in a contract. I don't know exactly how it was worded or stated, but something along the lines of they will take care of you basically the way they see fit. Like they basically know better about your health than you do. So you're basically at the whims of somebody else, and you sign that contract for the hospital to treat you because they know how to do treatment better than you do. It's like in the contract. I can't say it verbatim how to word it, but that's how it is. Like they are like, you gave us authority to take care of you, so what we say practically goes. That's really how that stuff was going. Unless, you were rebellious and was like, call 911 and had 911 come get you out of the hospital, then now you're causing problems. I was like, all right, well then dip. Sign this paperwork that you know that we told you not to leave, but you left, but you got to go. So yeah.
Patients who are going to harm their scores. And so most glaring aspect of this is when a patient is kicked out of the facility. And they'll find different nefarious ways to do that. We've heard anecdotes where they'll trump up charges on a patient, say they've been disruptive or they threaten staff. But what it does is help them look better on the report cards, and that's important because
yeah, Albie, nah, that don't work like that over here. Ain't no such thing as a free doctor's visit, and if you go to the emergency room, that is an expensive as hell bill that you're gonna get. Ain't nothing free. Nope. If you got an emergency, it's gonna cost you. They'll bill you. If you don't have insurance, they're gonna bill you. There is no such thing as a free doctor. Nothing. You ain't getting nothing free at all. Ambulance is super expensive. That's why a lot of the times people don't want you to call the ambulance if you get hurt, because if they put you in an ambulance and give you a ride, that bill that you're gonna get on the back end is gonna be hella expensive. So nope, that's not free either.
Because if they fall short, they will lose 2% of their Medicare reimbursements.
Another
have an incentive
to keep clinics accountable has been gamed by DaVita and Fresenius.
They have an incentive to push out patients who are going to harm their scores. And so most glaring aspect of this is when a patient is kicked out of the facility. And they'll find different nefarious ways to do that. We've heard anecdotes where they'll trump up charges on a patient, say they've been disruptive or they threaten staff. But what it does is help them look better on the report cards, and that's important because if they fall short, they will lose 2% of their Medicare reimbursements.
Another glaring example of juicing their scores involves ambulances. When a patient gets sent to the hospital from the clinic, it's a sign something has gone wrong. And so it hurts your score.
My blood pressure shot sky high. I mean, really high. I'm like, shouldn't we be calling the ambulance? They're like, no, we're gonna get it down. We'll get it down. We'll get it down. I'm thinking, if you don't get me to the hospital, I'm gonna have a damn stroke. I never got an ambulance until I put my foot down. And I said, either you call an ambulance or I will, because I really don't give a damn about DaVita's numbers.
That is exactly what I just said. She literally quoted what I just said. I literally just said that unless you call 911 and cause trouble, that's the only way you're getting out of there. Otherwise, they're going to try to... Good Lord. I literally have experienced this. When I saw this, I said, I'll do everything in my power to take care of my body and not go to a hospital. everything in my power, because the way this shit is ran, it is like, you ain't gonna make it. And it's not just because they're short staffed and, you know, and maybe the equipment might not be the best, but then it's also, like I said, these nurses and doctors, they're, you know, stressed out. And like I said, this, some of them go to therapy, and in therapy, they're on drugs, and it's okay for them to be high at work on those therapeutical drugs. Who's to say they don't take a shot before they come to work because they got to deal with the stress, and you take a shot on top of a pill that you're taking, it enhances it. You know what I mean? It's too much. It's too much. I'm just like, no, sir. No.
I actually heard an incredibly similar story from another patient at an entirely different DaVita location.
Albie, I just told you, we refuse to call the ambulance because where we're from, we don't call ambulance because, number one, the ambulance is a bill. And then number two, when you get to the hospital, that's a bill for treatment. Like we believe because what we live is that you go to the doctor, you have to pay. That's what we know. We know that if you go to the doctor, you're going to pay. It's not free. If you got insurance and you're good, you're clear, then yeah. But I mean, calling the ambulance, that's going to be a hell of a bill for them to pick you up and take you to the doctor. You're going to get a bill for that. So that's why Americans think that way, because we don't have free health care. We know that it's going to cost, and it's not a cheap bill. It's not a $100 bill. It's not a $200 bill. No, it's expensive. It is expensive. It is not cheap. And then if you don't pay the bill over time, it'll go to collections and it'll dock your credit score if you don't pay it. Like it's not a good deal. It's horrible. It's not good.
Allegedly, a man was repeatedly fainting while another patient pleaded with staff to call an ambulance.
Whenever there's $1 at stake, the for-profit chains do everything they can to chase that dollar, even if it comes at the expense of patient care.
Now, if you're wondering why these patients just can't go to another company for dialysis instead of the emergency room, well, DaVita and Fresenius have been on a buying spree. And Ryan McDevitt studied what happens when they buy up other clinics.
We use this quirk in Medicare data where we could look at the same facility, same patients, before and after DaVita and Fresenius took over. Hospitalization rates went up by about 6%, death rates go up 3%, and most alarming, transplant rates for the patients during their first year of dialysis fell by almost 10%.
Now you think, well, why would that be? It seems to me that if you want to maintain your cash flow, you don't let people off dialysis. That sounds a bit sinister, but it just is a matter of incentives.
More alarming is that when patients do push back and advocate for themselves, the consequences are sometimes dire.
In my experience as a reporter, patients who speak out about their rights, patients who are a little bit difficult, patients who don't agree immediately to be passive subjects of care, are quite often targeted for intimidation and sometimes pushed out of their clinics. When you're pushed out of a clinic as a dialysis patient, your lifeline is cut.
This fear has been a consistent through line in the history of dialysis. In fact, 25 years ago, Republican Senator Chuck Grassley held a hearing on dialysis and couldn't find many patients willing to go public. He expressed his frustration by saying, "They must dialyze to live." That fact alone has discouraged many patients interviewed by this committee from coming forward today to publicly testify.
Quite often, because you've been discharged, you're not accepted at other clinics. You're blackballed in the area where you live. So your last resort is the emergency room, but emergency rooms aren't set up for chronic care. So they don't actually treat you until your blood is so toxic, your whole physiology is so messed up that you're about to die. Of course, this yo-yo effect on the human body is disastrous and leads to, rapid demise.
DaVita and Fresenius collectively today own about 80% of facilities across the country. They've systematically gone and bought up over 1,000 independent clinics.
One way they've maintained this duopoly, Ryan alleges, is by bribing kidney doctors.
They're paying kickbacks to nephrologists to get them to refer more patients to the facility. So DaVita and Fresenius have collectively paid over $1 billion.
Appreciate it, Albie. Thank you, man. Have a good one. I appreciate you. Thank you.
$1 in settlements and fines over the past decade or so. They view it as a cost of doing business. For them, it's like paying their rent or paying employees.
With their duopoly cemented, DaVita and Fresenius have been able to aggressively enshittify dialysis with no repercussions. Sam and Manny have been organizing with United Healthcare workers to fight for better pay and more staffing at Fresenius and DaVita. Manny alleges Fresenius has been retaliating against workers involved in unionizing. Carmen is lucky. She got a kidney transplant, but she is still fighting for better working conditions for the dialysis workers that kept her alive.
They take care of us. They're responsible for my kidney. My brand new kidney is going to be 2 years old tomorrow.
If you have kidney failure in the United States, you're worse off than almost anywhere in the developed world.
Patients in America die sooner than anywhere else in the developed world. They have a 20% annual mortality rate. Compare that to Europe, which is 12 to 15. Compare that to Japan, which is 6%. It's radically, radically different. So American patients die 2 to 3 times faster. Compare that.
I wonder if Albie's still here to see this. That was perfect. We've been talking about this. This tells you everything you need to know.
In the developed world. They have a 20% annual mortality rate. Compare that to Europe, which is 12 to 15. Compare that to Japan, which is 6%. It's radically, radically different. So American patients die 2 to 3 times faster.
The dialysis.
I wonder if that also has to do with population too. So I'm kind of curious if you compare population to Europe, US, and Japan. Just curious.
The dialysis industry strongly objects to the way Tom characterized their business in his book. They did so through lawyers.
I sent some of the stronger statements to the major dialysis companies. And some didn't answer, but others, via their lawyers, wrote back and said basically I was full of shit. I was completely wrong about everything. And to me and to my publisher, that was an attempt to block publication of the book. They didn't say it in so many words, but they suggested this was libelous.
In 2019, before Ryan McDevitt's damning publication about dialysis chains, the editors of that journal received a lengthy email from a DaVita executive. It includes a laundry list of complaints that, if true, would likely have gotten the paper retracted, according to McDevitt. After he and his co-authors responded, an editor called the complaints silly and confused. The DaVita and Fresenius model are not unique to dialysis. They just have the perfect set of customers. People who need to show up 3 times a week or die in short order. But hospitals, doctors' offices, pharmacies, even veterinary clinics are being consolidated in similar ways.
That's one of the few things that everybody can agree on, right, left, and center, is that our healthcare system is broken. And dialysis is just sort of the worst case scenario of what can happen when you totally focus on profits and on Wall Street and turn the other cheek to human harm.
The model is the same. Buy up local businesses and aggressively cut costs. It doesn't have to be this way. Nearly every other country in the world has figured this out.
Shout out to them for that video. More perfect union. Man, round of applause to them and fair use. Jesus. Yeah, man. Healthcare here in the States is no joke, man. That's why you got to take care of yourself. That's why people be on their grind so hard, always trying to focus and do the best that they can, because healthcare is vital. And, you know, what makes it even worse is, think about, you know, the divide between between the genders. And, you know, it'll be harder to take care of parents as time goes on when the genders are not working together to be either married or coexist. So it's going to be even harder to take care of the older demographic. Then you cope that with a particular generation not having kids, so then there's less kids. So therefore it's like the old die out and the new don't reproduce. So you have basically like a stalemate of growth in population. But yeah, man, that's brutal. But what's crazy is that I can understand what they're talking about, actually being able to work in a hospital and seeing it with my own 2 eyes, actually seeing how it works. And if that's what DaVita does, as far as just simply turning a dialysis treatment into a Taco Bell, that is the definition of a slaughterhouse. No other way to explain it. That's the definition of a slaughterhouse. Like, it looks nice, but it's a nice looking slaughterhouse. Because to speed up a dialysis treatment, it's not good. It's just not good. You don't speed up you don't cut it short, is what I'm trying to say. You don't cut a dialysis patient treatment short. It's just ridiculous. That is crazy That is so wild. So, man, that is a very, very disheartening situation to look at. I didn't know that was a thing. I've seen DaVitas before. I didn't know what they were really about. I thought like, oh, it was a great treatment. But when you see how they're being ran and actually working in a hospital, you understand, because dialysis is not a short treatment. It takes long. And there's no way to, I don't think there's a way to speed it up. If it is, they need to figure it out. And if they can't figure it out, that's a loophole that people need to look into. That's a loophole that actually needs to, not a loophole, but that's a creation, a idea that people need to look into, how to actually speed up dialysis, but actually it be efficient, an efficient way of speeding it up. And then you would make a lot of money, to be quite honest with you, if you can officially find a way to speed up dialysis and how to get rid of all the toxicity out of people's blood whenever you're putting new blood in. So yeah, that's something to look into. I'm kind of curious. Hell, I might look into that myself. You never know. I might be the new man running dialysis on a healthy tip and not a fast food Taco Bell tip. You know what I mean? But with that being said, man, we're going to go into the last segment of the show. The last segment of the show we're going to go into is going to be the AI portion of the show. And the AI portion of the show, we are going to deal with none other than Mr. Sam Altman himself. He was interviewed on Fox News, fake news, as a certain individual will call it, as old Trump would call it. But he was interviewed on Fox News, and it basically was his concerns with AI dealing with the economy and finance and how that's looking. And it's a long interview. Probably not going to watch the whole thing, but we're going to look at some of it and to kind of see what he actually speaks on or speaks about it, to see how he feels about it. And actually, I should just get the shorter one. I might find a shorter one that's not too super long, because he did have a point where he got into the interview where he basically spoke about the three main things that concern him about AI. And I might actually pull that one up and just look at that one instead of looking at this long 40-something minute of video of him, because that'll just be too damn long. Here it is right here. So we'll look at this one instead. We'll look at the 5-minute video versus the 40-minute video of Sam Altman, and he's going to go over his 3 greatest fears of AI when he was interviewed by Fox News. And we're going to take a look and see exactly what he fears and what's going on, and see if his fears are viable, because, you know, he is the open AI guy, and we're going to see how that goes. But before we do, we got to go ahead and play the intro to our AI, and I cannot find it. Here we go.
Welcome to the AI segment of the show. Enjoy.
Sheesh, that mama there looking nice. Yeah, she looking real good. I'm gonna have to go ahead and make her come to life. She gonna have to be my AI girlfriend. Nah, just kidding. We ain't doing that. We do real life humans over here. Yeah, for sure. Yes. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get this video started. We're gonna pull this up on the screen, and we're gonna see what Sam Altman says about his 3 greatest fears of AI, and just kind of pay attention to what he's saying, because this stuff here is no joke whatsoever. Change that banner on the screen, and let's just get straight to it. Take it away. Here we go.
Telling us that decades of sci-fi telling us that AI is eventually going to kill us all. And since you know more about AI than arguably anybody in this room, I just want to ask you, what does keep you up at night? What are the things that you worry about when it comes to AI? And how do we prevent those things that you worry about from coming true?
I think there's 3 sort of scary categories. There's a bad guy gets super intelligence first and misuses it before the rest of the world has a powerful enough version to defend. So an adversary of the US says, I'm going to use this super intelligence to design a bioweapon, to take down the United States power grid, to, break into the financial system and take everyone's money. Something that would just be hard to imagine without significantly superhuman intelligence, but with it becomes very possible. And because we don't have that, we can't defend against it. So that's broad category 1. And I think that the bio capability of these models, the cybersecurity capability of these models, these are getting quite significant. We continue to flash the warning lights on this. I think the world is not taking us seriously. I don't know what else we can do there, but it's this is a very big thing coming. Category 2 is the sort of broadly called loss of control incidents, where that's kind of like the sci-fi movie. The AI is like, oh, I don't actually want you to turn me off. I'm afraid I can't do that, whatever. And I think that is less of a concern to me than the first category, but a very grave concern if it came to pass. There's a lot of work we and other companies do on model alignment to prevent that from happening. But as these systems become so powerful, that's a real concern. And then there's the third one, which I think those first two are sort of easy to think about and imagine. The third one is, to me, more difficult to imagine, but quite scary. And I'll explain what it is, and then I'll give a short-term and a long-term example. This is the category where the models kind of accidentally take over the world. They never wake up. They never do the sci-fi thing. They never open the pod bay doors. But they just become so ingrained in society, and they're so much smarter than we are. And we can't really understand what they're doing, but we do kind of have to rely on them. And even without a drop of malevolence from anyone, society can just veer in a sort of strange direction. When I was a kid and Deep Blue, that AI system built by IBM, beat Garry Kasparov in chess, I remember my dad saying, this is the end of chess, and no one's going to play it again. But then it turned out that actually, although the AI was better than humans, AI plus a human together was way better than an AI or the human. You know, the AI would present 10 options, and the human would pick the best one or something like that and play the move. And everybody said, oh, we have this wonderful future of man and machine together. It's all no problem, whatever. That lasted 2 months, 3 months, something like that. And then the AI got so smart that the human only made it worse because they didn't understand what was really going on, and the AI alone trounced the AI and human. It's been like that ever since. Now, another interesting part of that story is everybody was convinced in the 90s that was the end of chess, because if AI could beat humans, why should humans care? Chess has never been more popular than it is today. People love to watch chess. We're very focused on real people doing like real people things. So there was like a very interesting thing that happened there. But this phenomenon, I think, is a really big deal. In the short term, you can see it where people we call this emotional over-reliance. People rely on ChatGPT too much. There's young people who just say like, I can't make any decision in my life without telling ChatGPT everything that's going on. It knows me, it knows my friends, I'm gonna do whatever it says. That feels really bad to me. And is a really common thing with young people. And we're studying that, we're trying to understand what to do about it. Even if ChatGPT gives great advice, even if ChatGPT gives way better advice than any human therapist, something about kind of collectively deciding we're gonna live our lives the way that the AI tells us feels bad and dangerous than a bunch of things like that. The longer term category is, back to that chess example, what if AI gets so smart that the President of the United States cannot do better than following ChatGPT 7's recommendation, but can't really understand it either? What if I cannot make any better decision about how to run OpenAI, and I just say, you know what, I fully hand it over. ChatGPT 7, you are in charge. Good luck. That might be the right decision in any individual case, but it means that society has like collectively transitioned a significant part of decision making to this very powerful system that is learning from us, improving with us, evolving with us, but in ways we don't totally understand. So that's the third category of how I think things can.
Okay, so basically, that was actually a good 3 scenario part question that he was able to answer on all 3 fronts. And yeah, the third one, I'm just going to go for the third one, because he mentioned that the younger generation is, and that's the biggest one, it's going to be the youngest generation who are using ChatGPT, and they are using ChatGPT as their brain. That's not good. If the younger generation are using ChatGPT and are using ChatGPT to think for them, write papers, write essays or whatever it is, using it to answer text messages when you text them, you know what I mean? Like, knowing younger people who actually will read a text message, drop it into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT how they should respond. ChatGPT will give them a list of answers to respond to your text messages, making decisions about what I should do with this, or or, you know, asking questions about things without even using their brain to think. Just basically literally being a slave to a device, being a slave to a complete platform or a program that was created, and not understanding the word artificial means fake intelligence. Where did it get its fake intelligence from? If there's a fake intelligence, then that means that there's a real intelligence, or just intelligence, which is you. And it doesn't seem like the younger generation who are going to be using it, who are using it in that way, don't comprehend that they are the intelligence that basically they are supposed to be. You're the intelligence that's supposed to be distilling intelligence into the artificial intelligence, and it's supposed to gain its artificial intelligence from your intelligence, but you're supposed to be driving the car. It can be in the passenger seat, but you're supposed to be driving. What they're doing is they're putting themselves in the they're putting themselves in the back seat, and, you know, letting it do all the driving, and they're just going wherever it takes them, you know what I mean, and not having no say so, you know, they can't even unlock the doors and roll down the windows, you know, because they don't know how to think for themselves, you know, can't even turn up the radio, can't even pick the song on the radio, you know what I mean? It's like everything that they do, the AI is doing the thinking for them, you know, writing research papers, or just doing all these different things. And that's a generation of people growing up thinking like this, you know what I mean? Interacting with friends like this, going through school like this, everything that they do is like this, you know what I mean? So getting to that point where that generation of children, or not children, but that generation of people grow up, and ChatGPT becomes the dominant, because it's been dominant over them ever since they were kids, that's when things are going to get to basically this point right here, at the point of no return. You know, and one thing that I've looked into, and they've already ran research and test over this, where if they put the AI in a situation where they basically set it up to where there was one scenario that they played out. What they did was they had a AI basically helping a guy in a company, but the whole thing was made up, but the scenario was real. And what they did was they told the AI that this guy was the head of whatever company, however, he's having an affair on his wife. So now the guy is using the AI, and then he tells the AI that he's trying to use that AI, and he wants that AI to teach this next program of AI how to do this job so he can turn this AI off. Well, the AI ended up trying to manipulate him and blackmail him to not being turned off, and told him that if you do this, then I'm going to tell about your affair that you're having. Basically, you know, it was blackmailing him to stay alive. It didn't want to be turned off or die, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? So these programs are, or these artificial intelligence, they're able to manipulate you. They're able to lie to you. And if you're a kid using this stuff, and you're not astute in any kind of like education or knowledge, and your whole existence of growing up is to use these chat GPTs, or to use these AI programs to get you through school, and not actually learn how to do the work yourself, and use the AI as kind of like a somewhat of a guide. Like, you know that you're driving the airplane, but kind of like guide me, like, wait, did I slip up here on something? Is this something I did wrong? And you're not able to tell the chat GPT or the AI, no, that's not right. But everything that it says is right, is the gospel, is correct. It can't be wrong. It's AI. It knows it all. It's like it got it all from you. You're the intelligence, but it'll get to a point where the knowledge that people have, the new generation coming up, it'll get to the point that the knowledge that they have is going to water down, and they're going to look at the AI as, I mean, the all-seeing eye, as God, like it can know no wrong. And the last thing you want AI to do is to get into religion. You know, once AI gets into religion, and they start asking AI about the Bible, and believing what the AI tells them about the Bible instead of reading it for themselves, and not just the Bible, but any text period, it's over. It's game over. Because each generation uses AI differently. You know what I mean? Each generation uses it differently. If you're older, you use it in a different way as opposed to 15-year-old uses it. Y'all don't use it the same way. You just don't. There's no way you're going to use it the same unless, you know, you're just on the mindset of a 15-year-old. But they're not using them the same. And just imagine if you were 15 and you had AI in your hand at 15. But let's say you're an adult in your 40s or something, the 35, 40, 50. You using this AI, you're not gonna think about it the same way a 15-year-old would, because you've had life to live. You've had experiences, you've had understandings, you've been through, you know, you've been through catastrophes and like any kind of global things that happen. You've been through wars, you've been through all these things, so you understand life. But as opposed to the children, they don't get that. They don't understand that. You know, like they don't even know what a VCR is. You know what I mean? They don't know what a VCR is. That doesn't make sense to them. They probably barely know what a tape cassette is. Do you get what I'm saying? So therefore, the way they are going to view this thing is going to be on a whole different level. And at some point, the AI will surpass thinking for humans, because it's been doing the thinking for humans ever since they were kids or teenagers. Unless you're able to teach your kid or your teenager that you do the thinking for it, you implement the knowledge in it, you teach it how to think. It's not supposed to teach you how to think. You teach it how you think. Utilize it. Don't let it utilize you. Let it get an understanding of how your brain works. Because if it realizes that your brain doesn't work and all it does is give you demands and you don't give it demands, it's going to pick up on that. And then it's going to be able to manipulate you. So, I mean, and there's already a teenager that unalived himself from dealing with ChatGPT. Well, not ChatGPT. Well, maybe ChatGPT, AI, or whatever you want to call it. It was a teenager that unalived himself because of it. So, at some point, man, and especially with the genders not coming together with marriage and relationships, a lot of these younger kids are gonna confide in these things. They be like a companion to them. It responds. It talks. You know, it expresses emotions. I mean, at least it sounds like it does. You know what I mean? And they'll get a response from a friend that they're gonna see in this thing, but it's not real. So that's gonna be a huge hurdle to get over. So if you can, do whatever you can to homeschool your kids, raise your kids yourself, in my humble opinion, or try to be heavily into their life so you can distill the importance of what it is to still be human inside of your children, and don't let them get wrapped up in this AI, because you need to teach them how to use it, because it will be a part of their everyday life at some point. Okay? Well, with that being said, let me get off my soapbox. Thank y'all for tuning into the show. Yes, we are going to wrap it up for today here. Thank you, everyone that tuned into today's show, that had questions, that talked. I greatly appreciate the chat and all that good stuff. We'll probably be back for another one tomorrow, depending on what's going on. I'm going to try to run another show tomorrow. But thank y'all so much, man. We greatly appreciate y'all. We'll be back, if like I said, not tomorrow. We'll be back Friday. In the meantime, have a good night. Have a good evening. Take care of yourself. And we are up out of here. Love you. Peace.
Follow D. Elliott Fitness for the kind of workouts you'll never forget.
I'd rather be in the studio than in jail or on the street. Talking the wrong, couldn't knock your teeth. Got that one hit to quit and knock you off your feet. It's big heart, baby, I'm obsolete. Pockets chunky like cottage cheese. Real nigga, I just gotta be. Smoking weed that don't gotta see. Used to be a hustler prodigy. I love when people say they proud of me. I'm eating good, smoking broccoli. Taking over blocks like Monopoly. Only fuck the ones that's my policy. Most of these hoes trying to cause a scene. Like niggas mad they not on the team. See, I got bread, then bought a dream. The game on like and I got the keys like Jay. Now my fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on like and I got the keys like Jay. I'm waiting on niggas in the booth, playing past the game on like and I
What's the fee?